is up? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day. Back with some more Dead Space Remake gameplay for you. And today I have some unfortunate, sad news for all fans of Dead Space. So, if you're wondering why I'm playing this game right now, is that last year Dead Space Remake came out and it got great reviews. I thought people generally loved the game. I had a great time, a blast with the game. And I really enjoyed it. And one of the things I made videos of about talking about this game was the possibility of would we need a Dead Space 2 remake if they were going to remake it. Because Dead Space 2 is my favorite of the Dead Space franchise. And I was interested in seeing in this aesthetic with the remake how they could do Dead Space 2. Because I definitely would be more than happy to see that. And I thought that Dead Space remake was extremely successful. Well, unfortunately, I was proven wrong because we had some really bad news today about Dead Space Remake 2 possibility, as well as the future of Dead Space Remake, because now it's basically up in limbo. So, word broke out today that the Dead Space 2 remake that was in development reportedly is apparently not anymore. Not that it's been outright 100% canceled, but it doesn't look good, as basically it's been passed over for other projects. So basically the whole quote and tweet itself, according to Jeff Grubb, EA Motive was working on a Dead Space 2 remake, which was in concept phase but got canceled shelf because of the lackluster sales of the first remake. They are now working on Iron Man and Battlefield. End quote. Now, here are my thoughts upon hearing all this, and It's sad news to hear this, because I was excited for the possibility of seeing more Dead Space games. What I thought they could do, I said this in earlier videos last year, was that I would love for them to remake Dead Space 2. I've never played Dead Space 3. I've just always taken people's words for it that it was the worst of the trilogy. But I was thinking maybe they could, I don't know, remake or remodel, redo Dead Space 3. I've also heard a lot of people say that they just want to see a brand new Dead Space in Dead Space 4, which, as I said, I'm all for. But this is a very interesting, unique universe. I definitely like the aesthetic of it. I like the setting. I think it's got similarities, but it also has its own uniqueness to other games. It makes it stand apart from other things. It's definitely a survival horror game I would highly recommend. But hearing this news, now I'm not a salesperson, but I've never thought Dead Space was ever like a major big sales thing. I always thought it was just one of those games that was a really good game. It's not going to set the world on fire in sales, but it also comes to the other problem I think we're starting to have a lot in video games, unfortunately, is that obviously there was a huge production value behind this remake, behind Dead Space and remaking it and stuff like that in terms of how much it costs, which I have no idea. I can only imagine it's a lot. But I feel like that's what's ultimately backfiring, because let's just be honest, this game is never going to sell Resident Evil numbers. I mean, even a terrible Resident Evil game is going to sell better than the best Dead Space experience you could possibly get. And that's just a sad, unfortunate reality of it. And it's not right. It's not fair. But unfortunately, that's just how it goes. And I guess the way they looked at it, it didn't sell what they thought it was. But you could also argue, what were they thinking it was going to sell? I mean, Dead Space, I'm just looking over a few articles, is only a franchise going to sell maybe a couple million in its lifetime, and this one was kind of around that range, I guess, at this point in time. But the point is that were they expecting it to be, I don't know, like 10 million or something like that? I mean, yeah, it's going to fall short, but at the end of the day, maybe the production value is just too high. Maybe they just need to have more realistic expectations. Also, it probably didn't help out that being a $70 game, and let's just be honest, not everyone wants to pay $70 right out of the gate. That probably didn't do it any favors. And another thing, and unfortunately, it's not this game's fault, but there might be some people just like, hey, it's made by EA, and I'm sorry, but I don't have any respect or admiration towards EA, and I definitely get and understand that, because unfortunately EA wants to put their nose where it doesn't belong and so many other things, so that may have warded off people. Some people have also pointed to the fact that, in March when RE4 Remake came out, maybe that killed a lot of the momentum, but at the end of the day, it's just a sad thing to see, and we see this more often than you realize. A lot of games that are really good games, but because they don't sell like gangbusters, but let's just be honest, they were never going to sell like gangbusters anyway. Why? I always get annoyed when people only want to like, or these companies, I guess not so much fans, but just companies want these games to do ridiculous numbers, and they're never going to do that. I mean, what did you think it was going to do? I mean, yes, you'd like to see it do great, but sometimes a lot of these games do great. They get fortunate breaks. They have, things happen for them that are just, catch lightning in a bottle. Unfortunately for this, it didn't do that, and it's not the game's fault. It's an excellent game, but I don't know what, I like to hear what their estimate was, what they were expecting it to sell, because it's just, unfortunately, it wasn't what they wanted it, and that's just the unfortunate thing. And this game is now going to be put on the back burner. I won't say it 100% confirms they're never going to do it, but it's going to be a while, and that's a sad reality of it. I love the Dead Space games. I love playing them. I love playing this remake. I thought it would reinvigorate the series, but unfortunately, it didn't do that. But once again, I just go back to that whole production value. Maybe tone it down a little bit. You still have a great, excellent game without, losing your whole entire budget for it. That stuff can work if you expect something to sell ridiculous amounts. I just don't know what they were going to do here, but nonetheless, it's a sad day for gamers, sad day for Dead Space fans, and maybe just a reality check for just survival horror things, because I think another thing that really hurts, and I hate to say this, is I love the Resident Evil franchise to death, but if there's one thing that I think it does that's a decrement to the survival horror franchise, is that I just feel like it makes people not want to play other things. It just makes them want to stick with that and like not do anything else, because hey, it's one of the few survival horror games that can have a high budget and still sell and keep it sustained, where other games, like, they either have to be, a lower budget, but then people don't want to take chances with them because A, they're not the most triple A budget thing, or B, they do use a heavy budget, but no one really goes out there and supports it. So unfortunately, there's just a lot of things that just didn't work out in Dead Space's favor, and it's a shame, and it's a sad day for Dead Space fans. I feel you, understand it, but ultimately, I'm not going to say it's, a lost cause. Hopefully maybe something happens. Maybe people go out there and actually buy it more and support it. But unfortunately, it is not in their, the studios, I guess at the forefront of their plans as they want to work on other things. And unfortunately, guys, I say this all the time. Sound like a broken record. It is a business. And if you're not getting the return out of what you put into it, why are they going to continue doing it? And that's just a sad reality, regardless of how much you love the game or not. If it didn't get the return out of it, it's just, why are you going to keep doing it? That's just the reality of nature. And business is supposed to make money, and if it's not making the money, regardless of the circumstances behind it, then that's just the sad reality of it. And you got a harsher reality than maybe even the Ishimura's fate itself. But unfortunately, that's just the way it goes. But that is my opinion. I want to hear your guys' opinion. How do you feel about this? Do you feel like that this is a combination of just the studio's, developers' fault, just publisher, in terms of putting way too much money in terms of production costs and not getting that return for a game that was never known to sell ridiculous amounts? Or is this just a combination of, too many people just not playing other games in the survival horror genre franchise that aren't named Resident Evil? Because as I said, Dead Space is an iconic, awesome franchise, but it just seems like more people just don't want to play it or want to do it. In this game, it definitely was an excellent game. I highly recommend it. And go out there and play if you haven't. Should be on sale nowadays. But let me know the reason why you think it didn't sell as well, and how, maybe we could possibly turn this around, and maybe we can get Dead Space back in the forefront to possibly maybe get those remakes or get those brand new Dead Space titles, because Dead Space doesn't need to stay dead. It definitely needs to be at the forefront of survival horror games in period, because it's that damn good. But nonetheless, that is going to be it. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, and hopefully I can see you guys back on the next one. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, and hopefully I can see you guys back on the next one. Thanks, and I'll see you all later. Peace.